Ladies and gentlemen and fellow survivors of the apocalypse, if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, then you know that it's not just about cheering for our beloved heroes, but it's also about appreciating the sheer creativity that goes into making those undead nightmares even more, well, nightmarish. Over the years, we've seen our fair share of walkers, biters, and roamers, but just when you thought you've seen it all, along comes a new breed of undead that's about to turn Daryl Dixon's world upside down. That's right, folks. The brand new Daryl Dixon spin-off is here to underscore just how dangerous France's zombies can be, and it's introducing us to a whole new breed of brain-craving horrors that Daryl must face. Today we're diving headfirst into the heart of this new variant zombie mystery. What makes them tick, what makes them twitch, and most importantly, what makes them terrifyingly unique. Make sure you survive till the end. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Even more zombie variants. It all started with a little teaser tucked away in a post-credit scene of the spin-off sensation The Walking Dead: World Beyond. There, in the City of Love, a scientist met a rather unpleasant end, only to rise again as a faster, meaner walker. The executive producer of The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, the one and only Greg Nicotero, has dropped some tantalizing hints. He's promised us more variant zombies than you can imagine during this new spin-off series, as our trusty crossbow-wielding hero Daryl sets foot in the land of baguettes and berets. He encounters a particularly nasty surprise, the Burner. These zombified troublemakers come in a little something extra: acidic blood and skin. You thought regular walkers were a handful, try dealing with these spicy variants. And Daryl isn't just dealing with burners, he's about to dive headfirst into a buffet of zombie varieties. In a chat with the media, Nicotero spilled the beans on why they're amping up the zombie variants. It's all about raising the stakes and making this spin-off a unique zombie extravaganza. Because in the world of The Walking Dead, if you're not evolving, you're probably just lunch for the undead. Have variants appeared before? Now, for the longest time, our undead pals in The Walking Dead were about as fast as molasses in January and as predictable as your grandma's meatloaf on Fridays. But oh, how the times are a-changin'. The franchise is tossing that undead rulebook right out the window, and it all started with The Walking Dead: World Beyond's series finale. In that jaw-dropping episode, we got a taste of what they called variant cohorts. Zombies that were faster, stronger, and apparently they'd been hitting the zombie gym for some brain games. But it didn't stop there. The Walking Dead Season 11 decided to turn things up a notch by showing us zombies that could do the impossible, climbing ladders, wielding knives, and using rocks as weapons. I mean, who taught them this stuff? Zombie ninja school? The Walking Dead Dead City just decided to ghost the whole variant thing, leaving us scratching our heads. The Daryl Dixon, our crossbow-toting hero, is here to keep us entertained. Before the opening credits even had a chance to roll, he stumbles upon these sizzling zombies that had a rather fiery way of saying hello. Why? Because we could see Daryl getting burned just by their touch. These burners, as Clemens Poesy's Isabel so aptly names them, are a whole new can of worms in the zombie apocalypse buffet. Their veins pulse like they're auditioning for a horror movie, and their blood sizzles like a 4th of July fireworks show. So what's new about these variants? The Burners, as seen in the premiere episode of Daryl Dixon's latest zombie fighting adventure, are a bit of a mystery. They're not your typical variant zombies with their fancy intelligence, speed, and superhero strength. No, these undead troublemakers have a different calling card: acidic blood and skin that could give even Freddy Krueger a run for his money. You see, when you take a closer look at these bad boys, you'll notice some telltale signs of their special abilities. These are those wild CGI-induced veins pulsating on their heads, and when they meet an unfortunate end, their guts decide to put on a smoky chemical show. And that, my friends, is where the whole Burner name comes from. Now, it seems like the Burners have a party trick, and that's their blood. Yep, you've heard it right. Their blood isn't just average zombie ooze. It's like battery acid with a dash of extra spicy. Since zombie skin is thinner than a plotline in a Michael Bay movie, this acidic blood can seep through and turn their skin into a barbecue delight. That's why poor Daryl gets a nasty surprise when one of these variants decides to give him a smoldering high five. And a whole pulsating vein thing? Well, that's still a mystery tucked inside a riddle, zombie style. It might just be a stylistic choice to make burners stand out from the regular undead crowd, or it could be connected to the reason they become burners in the first place. Burner zombie variant, natural or man-made? While the first episode of Daryl Dixon's latest adventure doesn't spill all the undead beans, it drops more hints then a breadcrumb trail through a forest. Let's start with the spot where the burners were hanging out, a food processing plant. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that's not where zombies go to grab a snack. So what if these local zombies inhaled some not-so-pleasant fumes or rubbed elbows with some corrosive substances lurking in that factory? It might sound like a recipe for disaster for us living folks, but zombies? They couldn't care less about toxic environments. They're already dead after all. But hold on to your hazmat suits because there's more. Daryl Dixon himself drops a breadcrumb that leads us into even stranger territory. In the show's opening credits, we spot a textbook with a diagram of a zombie, complete with cryptic annotation. Translated from French, these annotations whisper secrets like "control the dead" and "point of entry." Now, if that doesn't scream zombie conspiracy theory, I don't know what does. And the symbol in that textbook is a dead ringer for the one that Daryl's antagonists have plastered on their vehicles. Coincidence? I think not. And in a final scene twist, we get a little nugget of information from Gennett's doctor colleague, who usually mentions test subjects. And just when you thought things couldn't get weirder, the Daryl Dixon trailer throws a curveball, a masked zombie with pulsating veins, just like our burner buddies getting injected with some mysterious substance. All signs are pointing to the burners being more than just your regular undead. In fact, they might be the result of a zombie experiment that went off the rails. Let's start with a little nod to The Walking Dead World Beyond's grand finale. There's a mysterious French character that gave us the inside scoop that the scientists behind the whole zombie mess made it worse. Now that sounds like a recipe for cooking up some spicy zombie variants. The final clue that tips the scales towards the biological creation theory comes from none other than Isabelle, the zombie fighting nun. She chats about these burners, or virulent as she calls them, like they're trending in France. It's as if they're a dime a dozen over there, which makes it highly unlikely that they're exclusively hanging out in a factory Daryl happened to stumble into. The language barrier, pancakes or crepes. A new chapter in the world of The Walking Dead. Yep, forget about Georgia and the southern drawl. We're now in the land of croissants and champagne. Now, you might think dealing with zombies is challenging enough, but Daryl Dixon, played by the ever-cool Norman Reedus, has an extra twist to his undead adventures. Language barriers. It's like trying to explain the plot of Inception after one too many brain freezes. While some of the folks that Daryl meets on his journey are surprisingly fluent in English, being in a place as foreign as France has its quirks. In the series premiere, we saw Daryl whipping out a trusty book to decode some French phrases he stumbled upon, as if he's trying to learn the language on the fly. And let's be honest, high school French class didn't prepare him for the zombie apocalypse. And speaking of language, it seems like French culture and lingo are going to play a big role in Daryl's spin-off adventure. Just look at those episode titles. They're all fancy French phrases that'll make you feel like you're in a Parisian cafe, sipping coffee and discussing existentialism. Pouvoir de Vivants, meaning, let's decode some French graffiti in the world of Daryl Dixon. In the very first moments of the episode, Daryl's eagle eyes catch sight of the words Pouvoir de Vivants, and it's like a linguistic puzzle waiting to be solved. These words pop up again on a poll, only to be swiftly covered by Isabelle, leaving us to wonder what's going on. Now, if you're not a French scholar, fear not, because we've got the translation. It means power of the living. It's like a motivational poster you'd find in a zombie-themed gym, right? But what's it doing here in the midst of the undead chaos? One interpretation is that it's a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can shine through. It's like saying, hey survivors, you've got the power to rise above the dead and keep on fighting. Think of it as a pep talk for the apocalypse. But here's where it gets interesting. While Pouvoir de Vivant is all about human perseverance, the nuns in Daryl's world have a different source of hope. They're all about the divine, believing that a guy named Laurent is the chosen one, the messiah of sorts. So when Isabelle covers up that uplifting graffiti with a phrase that translates to "God loves you," it's like a subtle clash of beliefs. Is Daryl infected? Our trusty crossbow-wielding hero, Daryl Dixon, finds himself washed ashore on the picturesque coasts of France. As Daryl stealthily rummages through the warehouse, he accidentally becomes the life of the party for a group of walkers. Now, normally our man Daryl can handle a bunch of zombies like a chef flipping pancakes, but these ones are different. When Daryl decides to give one of the undead a makeover with his trusty crossbow, things take a turn for the bizarre. The zombie's blood splatters onto the floor, and guess what? It sizzles. Yeah, you heard me right. It sizzles like bacon on a hot skillet. But it gets even weirder. Another walker decides to get up close and personal with Daryl and grabs his arm, giving it the kind of burn that only a hot slice of pizza fresh out of the oven can match. Ouch! Now fast forward a bit, and our fearless hero finds himself waking up in a convent led by none other than Isabelle. And they had to cauterize Daryl's burn wound to stop the spread. Yep, it seems like the zombie infection can now spread through burned flesh. This implies that Daryl might have been exposed to an infection but was rescued by the nun. Can the new variants be controlled? Even in a mere 30 seconds, the opening credits of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon offers us a glimpse of what's in store, and it's no surprise that it's all about zombies. Around the 17-second mark, we're treated to a close-up shot of a book that's chock full of diagrams and scribbled notes in good old French. Now let's play detective and break it down. These diagrams are all about the human body and its inner workings, like a zombie anatomy lesson, but it's the notes that really steal the show. First up, we've got Contrôler la mort, which when translated basically screams control the dead. And the second phrase, point d'entrée, translates to point of entry, and there's a handy arrow pointing right at the neck of the human diagram. That's a big clue that whatever serum or concoction the French have cooked up, they're injecting it right into the zombie's neck. You've hit the nail on the head, fellas. I mean, we're not saying that the zombie apocalypse is all rainbows and sunshine now, but it sure looks like someone's been working on a game plan. The show isn't exactly waving a mission accomplished banner, but it's not denying the possibility either. Sure, he's not out of the woods yet, but it's a sign that maybe, just maybe, things are starting to shift in Daryl's favor. So here's to hoping that Daryl and his band of survivors have some tricks up their sleeves, and that French zombie science is here to save the day. Marvelous verdict. In the world of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, the introduction of the new variant zombies has left us both thrilled and on the edge of our seats. These sizzling, acid-blooded burners are a stark reminder that the undead realm is constantly evolving in the show. As our fearless hero Daryl Dixon navigates this perilous new chapter, we can't help but wonder what other undead surprises await us. The series has teased a rich blend of science, experimentation, and a touch of the divine, adding layers of complexity to the ever-unfolding story. While the new variant zombies may not signal the end of the apocalypse, they do represent a thrilling twist in the tale. With each episode, the mystery is gonna deepen and the stakes are raised, promising an electrifying journey for us. So, as we eagerly await the next undead encounter and the secrets yet to be unveiled, one thing is certain: The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon promises to keep us hooked. If you like our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.